Hello, here is a video request. It's been asked twice in the last month. I think by two separate people. Or no, I think twice by the same guy. Do a video on bullying. And he showed me a video he wanted me to watch, I guess, where he's a dude in a wheelchair and he said he was being bullied by this girl. He was in a supermarket and some girl was like looking at him and he's like, fuck off, leave me alone. And then I guess she was like following her or something. And I didn't really notice her following him though. That didn't really look like bullying to me. It just looked like she was really high and was just, I don't know, just like staring at him, and he got all pissed off. It actually looked like it was his fault more than hers because he's all like cussing at her and yelling at her and stuff. But yeah, bullying is something that I guess it's in the news a lot. People are paying attention to it because we have the social media. And people are using it to, to expose bullying. I guess there was some bus driver who people were making fun of and throwing things at or something. I didn't see the video, but yeah, if you do that and then it gets out there, yeah, people can see it, and that's good. That it's all getting exposed. But yeah, it's a bizarre phenomenon. Somebody, for example, yesterday I think I saw Yahoo News. There was some boy who did a video asking people to please not bully his like fat sister, and so yeah, I guess people are tempted to just be angry and attack, and go after somebody who's like different or makes them jealous or something like that. Yeah, so I guess there's lots of different kinds of bullying. Like bullying is kind of it can be somebody who, like, I guess, will intimidate you to give you your lunch money, or and then range to like somebody who just who's like obsessed with you and always like wants to like suck your energy from you or something, like Snoop Dogg had to shoot somebody dead because he was like a fan who was obsessed with him, like in the hood where he lived or something. It was like towards the beginning of his career, and I guess Snoop Dogg or Snoop Lion, he felt really like, I guess at one point, like he was in danger or something, so he shot the guy and he got off. So I guess the guy was like fuck you, then I'll shoot you. That's a form of bullying, like stalkers. Yeah, I think the most common form of bullying is just somebody who just doesn't like you, and every time they see you, they have to say something rude to you or something. I've met lots of people like that in real life and on YouTube. If you're like eccentric, you're basically, it kind of comes with the territory. And some people have I guess, kind of personalities that cause people to get obsessed with, and go after. Let's see if I've ever like bullied anybody. Like if I've ever I've never. The closest thing that I've ever done to bullying somebody, I guess, would be maybe if I hear somebody did something to like spread the word. I'm kind of like a gossiper, and I used to be not as discreet as I am now, but maybe, yeah, like spreading, like if I heard he did that, I heard he did that, but that's the closest thing I've ever done. I've never been the kind of person who would like go up to a kid and like grab him or like say something negative about something every time they walk by. And I don't even understand why it's difficult to understand why somebody would even do that. I think people who do that are people who are generally aggravated and and if and they have like lots of different like hang-ups and like insecurities within themselves, and so if somebody walks by and they're really I don't know, like they're here, let me just I'll list all the different times that I've been bullied. I've been the subject of bullying. Okay, I remember when I was in grade school, in like 4th grade, I had a friend. I won't name him, but he was my friend, and I'd go spend the night at his house and stuff, and we'd hang out, and but then actually there were 2 kids like that. This is in video when I was in like 3rd and 4th grade, and they were my friends. They were like my best friends. But then they like suddenly they didn't like me. Oh no, there were 3 kids like that, 4 kids like that at that school, and 3 boys and a girl. And yeah, they just suddenly they don't like you, and then they're saying negative things about you, and then oh no, now I can name 5 kids like that at that school, and they they just don't. They're always saying something negative, like, oh, there you go again, being stupid or something like that, and then they say it over and over and over again. I remember one time one kid was doing it so much that I was like, I ran off, and I don't remember what I did, but it caused the attention of the principal, and so we had to have like a meeting with the principal. And then and there was another kid who was like suddenly got mad at me, but then my other friend said, "Oh yeah, you know how he's doing that to you? He did that to me too." So it's just general drama. But then I switched schools, and there were 2 kids from that same school who actually switched schools with me to this other school. And this kid, he decided he was my friend. Then he decided he wasn't my friend, and he was my brother's friend instead. And but he wasn't really a bully. He just didn't like me. And then there was this girl who would say, this is in 5th grade, he would say like really like nasty things to me all the time. And I can't remember any specific things, but I remember once we were doing some game where we're jumping across something, and then she was like, "Fucking Kyle, yeah, whatever," and I got angry and I ran off. That's like what I would do when I get angry. I would be like, and I'd run off, and then I wouldn't like show up to school. I'd show up to the next class, and then like I remember one of the teachers of the other class was like, "You little dickhead kid, you show up to your class." Anyways, the last time that she like got a rise out of me was, and I think that's the last time anybody actually got a rise out of me. Yeah, that's the last time any like bully actually got a rise out of me. We were kicking these like pine cones on the roof, and all these other kids. It was like lunch, and all these kids were kicking pine cones on the roof because it was at a church where we went to school. And then the pine cones would fall off, and then you'd kick the pine cone to try to get it up on the roof again, kind of like how you'd play tennis with yourself on the wall. And all the boys were doing it, so then I ran up and I did once, and I did it like once, and that girl who had it in for me, who I had known, you'd think she'd be my friend, but because she went to the other school with me, but she's like, "Kyle, don't do that, pine cone fall into the gutter." And so I was like, "Ooh, okay." So I stopped. I didn't want to piss her off, but the other kids they kept doing it, and I saw them, and like a few minutes went by, and then I ran up again, and I like kicked one up, and she goes, "Kyle, I told you not to do that." So she ran up to me and scratched my arm, and like my arm was like dripping blood. There were like 4 scratch marks on my arm, like literally dripping blood, and I had scars for like 3 weeks after that on my arm, and I was like looking at it, and then the kids started kicking pine cones on the roof again, and then she wasn't bothering them, and I was looking at my arm and looking at them and then looking at her for like a couple of minutes, and then I snapped. It was funny because somebody had written on some wall like, "I hate and it was that girl. And her mother was actually right there. She was one of like the supervisor parents. And I like walked up to her while she wasn't looking at it, because she walked up to it to look at the thing. Oh, what? I hate me. And I punched her in the back, and she fell into the thing. And then I punched her again, and she fell into the thing and fell down. And then I went inside, and then like one of her friends like ran up to me and yelled at me, "You don't do that to my friend," and then ran off. And then the teacher came up to me and was like, "Hey, I understand you're really mad at her," He was really cool. But yeah. Anyways, that was the last time I heard of her. I think it was toward the end of the year though, but so I don't know why she didn't bother me after that. I don't know if it was because of the end of the year or because she was afraid of getting punched. But and then as far as physical bullying, in that same school there was this kid who like the kids didn't like. A lot of the kids didn't like. He was had like emotional problems or whatever. But I mean, I saw him around in high school and he was great. He was kind of overweight, and he wasn't overweight in high school, but yeah, once we went in the bathroom and like he was turning off the light as all the kids were going in, and they turn it on, then he'd turn it off. And I went in there and I turned it on and he turned it off. And so I turned it on and he turned it off, so then I turned it on, and then he like pushed me and he knocked me on my butt. So I got up and I started fighting him. And and then I ran outside and grabbed a rock, and then I went in, and he was still in the bathroom, and I threw it at him, but I missed. And when it landed, it was closer to him than me, so he ran for it. So I ran outside to get another one, because I didn't want him to throw it at me. And then I went back in, and then by then the teacher had shown up and they'd broken it up. And anyways, that was like the only fight I got into until in college. I got into a fight with some kids. Anyways, a few weeks after that, we were friends. I remember once we were like wrestling in a class, and we were like, "Hey, remember when we got in that fight?" Yeah. But anyways, that's that. I remember once in like third grade, this kid, I was walking down the hall, and this kid like got in front of me, and like I had to like walk the other way to go around him or something. But he only did that once. But that's all the only like physical bullying I ever do. I don't think I'm the kind of person who could get physically bullied more than once. Like somebody could like get in my way and then make me walk around them, or they could chase after me and I'd run away from them. But if they did that more than once, I don't think I would tolerate that. But that never happened. I mean, I did have friends like chasing after me. So I kicked my ass, but that was just my friend. He wasn't like a bully. We'd be hanging out the next day. And then in 6th grade, there was this chick who didn't like me, and every time she saw me, she would be like really nasty to me. She was just generally a really angry person. And yeah, I remember once she said, I was going into school, my brother had this like bright, like green BMX bike, and she goes, "Good thing your mommy bought you that bike. Now that if you get lost, they can find you." And I go, "Tch." And she goes, "Tch, tch, tch," and then went inside. And yeah, and then like once I saw her in the like playground, and she was like, "You have to get off the top of this jungle gym right now." And so I got off. I wasn't a really confrontational kid. I was raised Buddhist, and then like Buddhism and even in the East, like it's like I don't know, and I'm not as much like that now. Like I'm actually devolving. But when I was younger, I actually had a lot of, believe it or not, a lot of, like I believe that like turning the other cheek and stuff like meant that you were strong. So I'd be like, okay. And I walked away, and I was actually with my friend. She kicked my friend, and she was talking to me, but I left the jungle gym, and he came with me. But she never got a rise out of me for some reason. Once she was like, because she was bigger than me. She's like, I kick bigger than you, I'm stronger than you. So we're like, all right, well, let's do the thing where you push the merry-go-round. You push it against, and whoever wins. And so we did that, and I was winning, but this one kid goes, he's winning because he has a foothold. So this kid ran up to me and like pulled my foot out of the thing, and so I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" So then I stopped and I went away. But yeah, that girl. Every time it was like one of those kids. Every time they see you, they like say something like nasty to you. And let's see. And then it's like talking behind your back, bullying, because there've been a few people like that who are like, I've heard that they say nasty things. Oh, a lot of people like that. But I think that happens to everybody. That guy said that you were a loser. Just trying to spread words, spread rumors about you and stuff. Or not rumors, but just saying that you're a loser or whatever. I don't know. That's probably a form of bullying too. Yeah. I remember once when I was in college, I went all through college and I didn't, I was kind of, just smoking weed and, doing my own thing. And then they started having the bike race team, and I took a semester off because my dad was sick, cancer, and then I went back for my final semester and I decided to do the bike race team. And like the boss of the bike race team, the kid, he was this fat kid, and he didn't like me at all. Every time he saw me, he'd like say something nasty. Like when we were on a bike ride and going really fucking slow, and there was like some kid in front of me, but there was a gap of like 6 feet. He's like, "Kyle, you close up that gap," and I was like, "Well, I don't want to. I'd rather just break the wind for myself." And he's like, and his friend next to him was like, "You have to be as a team. You have to close the gap right as a team." It was the first time that kid had ever talked to me, and then another time we were riding down the road and these people pass, when you do the pace line, and then there was this huge gap before the next one, so I moved over, and he goes, "God damn it, Kyle, this isn't the tour. You're going to cause a crash if you fill that up." So he's all pissed off at me for not filling up a gap, and then, or for not filling up a gap, and then he gets pissed off at me for filling up a gap. And then another time, there was one of those like meetings, and I said, some guy said something, and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll do that," or whatever. He's like, "Well, why didn't you say that before?" Or something, and I was like, "I don't know." And then the guy goes, I don't know. He was just like, he was always trying to like embarrass me and like yell at me and stuff, and he never got a rise out of me. See, I'm the kind of person who, the only way you can get a rise out of me is if all of a sudden you're yelling at me so loud that you almost break my eardrums and you startle me. That will get a rise out of me, and then I'll start screaming at you. That actually happened in Denmark. I was riding my bike down the bike path, and then I wanted to go and take a picture from the edge of this bridge, so I went aside down the walking part, and all of a sudden this old lady goes, "Get the fuck out of the walker section, down. That's not for bicycles." And she was so loud that it just made me snap, and I started screaming at her, and then I started following her, just screaming at her. And I actually caused a scene. It was kind of embarrassing. And this guy across the street stopped his bike and goes, hey, don't yell at her. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, that's the only thing though. But if it's a little bit toned down, like you can be like really nasty to me, say something really mean to me, or like yell at me, and I won't. You're not going to get a rise out of me. Unless you like physically attack me, like that girl who fucking scratched my arm. Yeah, like another time, I think like making a scene to try to embarrass somebody, that's a form of bullying. I was at this rainbow gathering in Finland, and you know how people in the rainbow gathering, they get in that big donut circle, and then you have the people who pass out the food, and there are a few naked people, and I was totally naked. And there were like 100 people, and I was the only person naked there. I mean, well, there was a couple other people, but I volunteered to be one of the servers, and I'm walking around serving people naked, and I think I was offending people because like my dick was like eye level with their eyes because they're all sitting down. Anyways, I'm passing out food, and I collected food, and I'm walking back to give food to the next person, and I'm walking, to get to that area, and some guy goes, "Hey, You have to feed the right people. Don't go and walk down the line and feed whoever you want. And because he thought that I was like only feeding whoever I wanted because I was having to walk to the other place. And anyways, I didn't say anything. To him, I was just like, what? And I just kind of kept feeding. And he and his two like female friends were like scowling at me. So I think they were pissed off and they just couldn't hold himself. That guy couldn't hold himself back. But he was like at this little fucking top of his lungs. He was saying that. And yeah, but that's the only example I can think of now. I'm sure that there are others. But and then I've had lots of, people talking trash behind my back. I think that happens to everybody. And then as far as like YouTube bullying, I think trolls are definitely a form of bullies. Oh yeah, dude, I get some trolls who come after me so much that I end up having to block their asses, dude. Like, there's this dude, his name's Dale. That's his real name. And like, he wanted to be my I guess he was commenting on my living in the van vlogs, because I don't know anything about this guy. Because the trolls, the bigger of a dick troll you are, the more anonymous you are, generally. There's one guy who's not, and maybe I'll talk about him. But yeah, he would like comment on my van vlogs, and then he found out. He became curious about me, and he found out that I do get a little bit of a stipend to help me, that allowed me to live in the van for a long time, and he got really jealous about that. And I mentioned my mom a lot, and I guess he doesn't have parents or had to raise himself or something, and it made him jealous because I mentioned my mom in my videos, and he's like, "Your mommy takes care of you," and he started commenting on my Facebook all the time. Like, he did it like, it was like half dozen times at least, half dozen or a dozen times over the course of like a month or so, where he's commenting, Kyle is taken care of by his mommy, and that's the only reason he can live in a van, because living in a van is so expensive. There's no way you can do it unless you get your help, but your mommy takes care of you. Just keep that in mind. And he keeps writing it over and over again. So I actually wrote him. I'm like, look, and he's like, and he's trying to tell everybody that he's a hard worker, and he's like paying for himself and all that kind of shit, and he's a fake. And I wrote him, and I'm like, dude, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Like, my family says, you can't talk about it. They want to keep them out of it because it ties into my family. And he wouldn't respond to that, and he just kept doing it over and over again. So I unfriended him, and I said, or I was like, I'm gonna unfriend you if you don't do that. So I unfriended him, and then he tried to be my friend again. So I let him be my friend again. And I'm like, but when I let him be my friend, I said, don't be saying that nasty shit about me. But he kept doing it. And so, that's a form of bullying. He was like just this like troll who's obsessed with me. So I unfriended him. And then he was doing it on all of my YouTube videos. So I blocked him. And then he got unblocked. And that happens sometimes. No, I actually unblocked him because I felt kind of sorry for him. And I unblocked him, but other people who I blocked have somehow become unblocked automatically. So then he started doing it again. This was like 4 months ago. Every single fucking video I upload, he would send these really, nasty comments. And the last one he did was like poorly executed, like my daily vlog, poorly executed. He would just. So I blocked him again. And there's this other dude, what's the channel? Oh, and that guy ended up, I think he changed, I looked, he doesn't have any videos where he actually talks. And then there's this other dude, called King of Pizza, who every single video, like most of the videos I uploaded, he'd say really nasty things, and then other ones he would put like a dollar sign, he would put like a dollar amount, and then he noticed that I commented on somebody else's video, and so then he put that dollar thing on that other person, on my comment on the other person's video, and I've had a lot of people like that, who they just on a lot of the videos, they just get in the habit of saying, like, you're a loser. Oh, being a loser again. Loser, stoner. Oh, stoner, dude. Oh my God. If you want to get like trolled on YouTube, advertise yourself as a stoner, and you're gonna get people going, oh, another loser stoner. With no life. Never gonna accomplish anything. What a douche. What a loser. What a all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I usually don't block people the first time, but if they do it like 2 or 3 times and I start to recognize them and they've never said a positive thing about me, then I'll block them. Although there's this one guy named who I can't remember his name. I don't think it was his actual name though, as a YouTube channel. I don't think I've ever seen one of these trolls actually use their real name on. That's what that guy Dale did though. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, he would say these really nasty. It would just be like, oh, what a loser. Oh, what a douche. Just really simple, like bland stuff. Oh, there goes being a loser again. And but then one comment, he goes, you are, you're the example of a really good person. If only everybody could be like you. And then he went back to being a troll again. So I was like, what the fuck? Are you my biggest fan, and you're just trolling me to try to make it seem like other people hate me or what? But it was weird. And I ended up blocking him though, because I don't like getting negative comments from the same people over and over again. And then now there's this other dude named Buiko1, who I've actually been ignoring because a friend of mine told me to do that at the very beginning, and that was actually a really good idea because this guy's totally obsessed with me, man. You should check out his channel. He it seems like half the videos are about me, although he's doing it less and less, where he just likes to say as negative things about me as creatively as he can, trying to come across as though he's like balanced, fair and balanced, like Fox News or something. And then there's this other dude. If you YouTube my name, these guys' videos will come up. What's his name? John Doe. And there's lots of John Doe channels, so it's hard to find his channel. But I haven't seen him do a video about me in a while. But every once in a while, I go to Buiko1's channel, see if he says something about me, because it's funny. It actually makes me laugh when I watch his videos, when he talks about me. But that other dude did a couple of videos about me. But then he turned his attention towards other people, like stoners. He doesn't. But then he really doesn't like stoners. He goes after stoners. But then I think I saw he did a video about a fucking vaporizer. So he's a stoner himself. So it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So anyways, we'll see if those guys keep doing another video about me, or if anybody else does a video, or if anybody else like gets obsessed with me. But anyways, that's like an obsession. It's weird. So I guess that's a form of it. And I'm glad I'm not responding to him, because I don't have the time, and it would just be it would just be a waste of time, man. Because he's just has it decided that I'm like a bad guy, so there's no changing that guy's mind. So yeah, it's good. I'm glad I got that advice. Because if that had happened 2 years ago, I would have been commenting on every single one of his videos, and I would have been trying to reason with him, and I wouldn't have been blocking anybody, but I changed like a year and a half ago, where I don't respond to every single video or comment and stuff like that, and then I block people, and it saves a lot of my time. Now, so what is my like advice to people, to bullies and bullied people, and like what's the future of it? Advice, I think the best thing is to I think it's always good to hold in mind that turning the other cheek is actually the big thing to do, the strong thing to do. If somebody says something really nasty to you, like yelling really loud, like, what a loser, oh my God, like trying to embarrass you, like in front of a lot of people. I think the best thing to do is just not to say anything. Like a lot of times, see, I'm the kind of person who I don't say anything, and then later on, if I happen to be in a bad mood and I think about it, it makes me angry, and I'm like, oh man, I should have said something. So it just depends on how you feel. Like if they say, see, it depends on like who you are and how temperamental you are. If they say something to you and you become angry at that moment, then yeah, you should say something. I remember the last time that kid on the bike kid, I was riding in the front of this pack, and he goes, Kyle, and I don't know why he was saying that. Like maybe I was riding too fast or too slow or something. But I looked back at him, and I just really long time, because he kept saying Kyle over and over again. So I looked back, and I was just waiting for the next time for him to say it so that I could say something. But he didn't say it again. So I didn't say anything. But if he had said something, I would have caused a scene, like, because he'd been doing it so many times. If somebody comes after you 3 or 4 times, then I remember it, and then I'm like, okay, and the next time they do it, then I'm ready. But he didn't do it, so I was like, all right. So I didn't say anything, and he didn't bother me after that. And in fact, the next time he saw me, he said hi to me like he was my friend. Because see, a lot of times I think if you don't allow people to get a rise out of you, and you don't like say anything back to them, after a while they kind of decide that like they actually like you for that, and then they stop doing it, and they decide that they like you. So if your goal is for them to like you, even though they're an asshole, I think it's better to just turn the other cheek. They're going to respect you for turning their cheek. I mean, I know that's how I am. Like if I was a bully, I was just for some reason I was like did pranks on somebody or was bullied somebody, and then they like defended themselves, and they like got really mad at me and did my medicine against me and embarrassed me. That would fucking piss me off, and I would like want to like kick their ass now. But if they turn the other cheek all the time, then I would, a few weeks later, I'd think about it, and I'd be like, oh man, I was kind of addicted to that person. Then I would actually try to make up for it and be extra nice to him. And so, the fact of the matter is, the best thing to do is just turn the other cheek. But it's good to be, it's good to be in touch with your, with your emotions. If somebody makes you really mad, then it's good to just go ahead and yell back at them. If you're angry, it's all about how you feel at that moment. One thing is, as far as like the anger against them, I think you should take care of stuff when it happens. The whole idea of becoming angry at somebody for something that they did like last week is stupid. You should deal with it then and there. And if you decide not to say anything, or even not to defend yourself, if they're going to take your lunch money or whatever, then, well, lunch money or something, that's actually a straight up violation. You should report it. But if they're going to like say something nasty to you and you don't say anything back at that moment, then leave it, and don't like try to get them later, or attack them later, because that's just retribution, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth type of shit. That's what people do in like the Middle East and in like Serbia and Albania and stuff, and it turns into like blood feuds, and it just escalates, man. You can stop stuff by just not responding, and if they come at you 2 or 3 times and you still don't say anything, then they stop doing it. Like, I've never had anybody like bully me, like say something nasty to me more than like probably 4 times, because they're just acquaintances who you see in passing or whatever, and then and like if it's at school, the semester's over and it's done, so that's it. Bullying never really has to be that much of an issue with an individual person. I know like in movies they have like the bully, and he's like, it's like every single day he's out there. Like in a school setting, I think it's good to report it, And if you have a kid who's like would end up being easily bullied, like it's a retarded kid or something, then you should keep a really close eye on that person, on that kid, and just, hey, how's it going at school? Are you, how's your teachers treating you? Oh, teachers bully too, man. Teachers, see, like trying to embarrass somebody in front of everybody else, that's a form of bullying. We had a teacher who, I'm gonna even name this guy because I don't like him. His name was, actually I won't name him. But in junior high, dude, there was this teacher, and I didn't hear him say it. I must not have heard him or whatever, but I was writing on a pencil, and you were supposed to write on a pen or whatever. He's like, "You guys got to write on a pen, not like this guy." He points right at me, and I thought that was kind of rude. But yeah, teachers trying to like embarrass kids in front of the rest of the class, that's a form of bullying. And if I ever heard, like if I had a kid and I heard that a teacher did that to him, I think I'd call the teacher up and say something. It's not cool to try to embarrass somebody in front of everybody. Yeah, but what fuels it? Well, I think it's jealousy, like jealousy, and like see, one reason that a lot of the kids would suddenly get angry with me and not like me is because I think they were jealous of me because they saw me as the rich kid, because we had a big house in Boulder, and like a lot of the parties like in the Buddhist community were held at that house, and so kids would see that, and then they would like, and then next thing you know, they're pissed off at you. Like that one kid who decided he wasn't my friend anymore and he was my brother's friend. He thought I was super rich because he tried to get me to buy him a snowboard once. And